I know you're tired. I am too. I know it sucks. I know things are getting harder, especially for our trans family members, our trans brothers and sisters, and she's, theys, non-binary, gays, whatever. I see you. I hear you. I know it's hard. I know things are going, but here's what I always will believe. There is so much more joy with you in the world than with you without it. So please stay, please fight, and know that if you ever need me to come kick somebody's ass for you, just all you have to do is say so, and I will do it. Probably not, but that's okay. We can pretend.
Hello, I'm Angela, and I was so lucky the other week that I got to see TJ Klune at my library. He is the best-selling author of The House in the Cerulean Sea, the sequel, Somewhere Beyond the Sea, and there's quite a few other books, many other series, and my personal favorite is Under the Whispering Door. The book that he's probably the most popular for is The House in the Cerulean Sea. It is a warm hug. It is wrapping a fuzzy blanket around you with a cup of tea and some biscuits. This book is about an ordinary man named Linus Baker. He works for the Department of Magical Youth. The Department of Magical Youth deals with getting magical youth into these orphanage homes. For example, there is a character at this house on the Cerulean Sea named Lucy. Lucy is short for Lucifer. He is the actual Antichrist. And there is a cute green blob character who wants to be a bellhop named Chauncey. There's a little wyvern character. There's a gnome. There are all these kids at this house, this orphanage, that Linus goes to check on. His job is to determine whether the 6 dangerous magical children are so dangerous that they could potentially bring the end of days, as you can imagine with Lucy. But to Linus's surprise, as he arrives here, he meets the caretaker, Arthur, and Arthur and him and the kids end up forming a bond, and he gets to experience what their life has been like and see the types of prejudices against them and what they are trying to just deal with being themselves. This came out right at the start of the pandemic, and he talked about that in his library talk. I was in a book club called the Top Shelf Society. I do have the playlist of all of our live shows linked on my playlists, and we read this book that summer. It was exactly what I needed, and it was interesting because I do remember one of the critiques from one of the members was that the message was very heavy-handed about acceptance and people being themselves, and that can apply to so many different types of people and communities. And I would argue that sometimes people need to be hit over the head with a message, and especially people who need the messages in this book from the other side to gain empathy, they really do need that driven home. And if you are a person who does feel excluded from society, this is hopefully something that you can see yourself in and get some appreciation and love and kindness for you as well. Now, I wish I could have recorded the entire talk. He told so many wonderful stories about himself and his life and his youth. I did really want to be present and I wanted to enjoy it. There were some things that I did choose to record because I have a terrible memory and I didn't want to forget these elements, and I didn't want to forget him and his energy and his excitement and his joy. But I didn't want them to just sit on my phone privately for me. I hope it's okay. They didn't say that we couldn't film or take pictures, so I hope that it's okay that this is going to go out on the internet for other people to find. I would hate that this information is just reserved for the people who can get to any live talks, because that's not always accessible for a lot of people. I'm hoping by me putting this out there, he's okay with it and everybody can appreciate him and what he is giving to the world with his wonderful books. The messages that he talked about were too important to just keep in that room. And I did just want to say that room was so wonderful. It was filled with queer joy, queer acceptance, and there were so many of us that were able to be comfortable in our own shoes and with people that are like us.
Queer people in this room, I want you to listen to me. The best revenge that you could possibly have is to live a happy, successful life, forgetting all of the people who try to bring you down. They do not deserve you. They do not love you the way you should be loved. Find the people in the world who will love you for who you are. Fuck everybody else who hates you just because you exist. Now,
TJ Klune, being a gay man, writing these stories that have such queer representation across the board really means a lot. I will share that I desperately wish I had books like this when I was younger. Representation is so important to me across the board in books, in media, movies, TV shows. I grew up in the Midwest and I did not see much queer representation, and especially did not see any bisexual representation or pansexual representation, which is what I identify as. I did not know for most of my youth that that was even something that existed. I know nowadays that sounds absurd to not know what bisexuality or pansexuality is, but at the time, the only thing I saw growing up was mostly straight people and straight representation or gay representation, which was important, but also typically very flawed and caricaturized. But I did know those two. So for me, who had the exact same feelings towards both boys and girls, was very confused. For me, I would say, well, I must be gay because I am absolutely having these intense feelings for all of these girls. And then I would say, well, no, you can't be because you also have crushes and feelings on boys. And it would go back and forth. I have to be straight. Well, no, I can't be straight because of this. And I truly, genuinely did not know that bisexuality was even a thing. And that was thanks to the adults in my life. I had gotten so many talkings to by not only my parents, but neighborhood parents, other adults in my life, where if I ever showed any interest, too much interest in girls, I'm told that that was wrong, we don't do that, that's goofy, that's not right. And it really affected me because I couldn't understand why I was made this way, because it was not a choice. It was just like saying, okay, make your heart stop beating or stop breathing. Like you that's just how you function. And all of the feelings I felt when you have crushes for boys, I literally felt the exact same thing for so many girls, actually more girls than boys. And I don't know, I couldn't understand that, like, that'd be saying that breathing is wrong. That's weird. Don't do that. It also completely clashed with my understanding of reality because I didn't understand why that one was okay, but the exact same thing for the other was wrong. How is that acceptable, but this is not? It's the same feelings. It's love, it's affection, it's attraction. It's not inappropriate, it's not perverted, there's nothing different or wrong about it. It's love, it's attraction. Like it was really hard for me. It was very confusing for my childhood, for my aging. It was hard to feel normal because I didn't. And I had to just justify it. I'm sure a lot of people, if they have struggled with the bi experience, understands when you say like, oh, I must just like really admire her. I really just must want to be her or something. And you know, yeah, no, that was not the case. I mean, I did, but I was attracted. I loved them. Like, I liked them. And I know that not even hearing the word bisexuality or knowing that concept till I was much, much older did impact me and made me feel like I was broken, that there was something wrong with me. And I was bad and I had these secrets that were wrong and we don't do that and stuff like that. So it's not fun to talk about. It's very awkward, but I do know how important it is. The same way TJ Klune is who he is unapologetically, I am who I am unapologetically. That's worth it to me if even one other person can feel seen and feel safe being who they are as well. So I just wanted to share why representation, not just queer representation, but all representation is so important to me. Everyone deserves to see themselves in stories. And TJ Klune has some very important messages for the queer community that I recorded and want to share with you. Very, very important, especially now. And in the footage, I'm going to let it roll and speak for itself. The first thing that he's going to talk about is the house on the Cerulean Sea.
It got rejected multiple times from places like Disney and a bunch of other places. And when we were getting those rejections, I remember something my agent told me. She told me, all it takes is getting your book into the hands of the one person that sees something with it, and I promise you we will find that person. And we did. That person ended up being my editor, Allie Fisher, at Macmillan and Tor. And I started working with them. I started feeling this rush of excitement, this rush of hope, this rush of joy, a big book. I'd never had a book published in hardcover before. I'd never been on a book tour before. That was so cool. There was going to be a budget for like marketing stuff? Really? That's amazing. And then in 2019, I got the best news that I'd ever heard of my entire life, the release date. March 17th, 2020. Yeah. You guys remember what happened that week in the United States of America? Because I sure as fucking do. For those whose minds may have been men in black and white, that was the week the pandemic exploded in the United States. It debuted on the New York Times bestseller list for the first time. Wait for it. On January 6, 2021. The day of the Capitol insurrection. So I want you to imagine you're at home watching your country on fire, and your editor calls and goes, "Hey, guess what?" I'm like, "What?" She goes, "You're a New York Times bestseller." And I said, "Yay! I can't talk about it now." She goes, "No, we can wait until tomorrow if you want to post about it tomorrow." I did not wait until the next day. I got on my Twitter account right then and said, "Hey, motherfuckers, I am a New York Times bestselling author. Screw all of you." So let me tell you about some things that happened with Somewhere Beyond. Why does this Somewhere Beyond the Sea exist? Because my original plan was never to write a sequel to any of those first 3 novels that I submitted to Tor. There will never be a sequel to Under the Whispering Door. There will never be a sequel to In the Lives of Puppets. There will never be a sequel to The Bones Beneath My Skin. There won't be any more Green Creek books. I wanted to be one and done. I've written too many sequels. I've written way too many sequels. And I wanted to be done. I wanted to go and explore different things. But then, 2021 happened. Now, 2021, in case you guys did not know, in 2021, while we were pandemic-y times, the United States government invited trans people, parents and guardians of trans youth, gender-affirming care specialists to come and testify in front of the United States government. And guess what? It was an ambush. Trans people who came to speak to their truth to the people who are supposed to represent them were ridiculed, mocked, accused of being groomers, indoctrinators. The parents of guardians and trans youth were accused of being groomers and pedophiles. The medical professionals who provided gender-affirming care were accused of not knowing what they were talking about, even though nobody who was questioning them is even remotely qualified to be doing what they're doing, but they still get elected to do their job. It was horrific. It was absolutely horrific, and it reminded me of 2 things. One, at the end of The House in the Cerulean Sea, I had put a little tiny mention in there that Arthur had agreed to come testify in front of the government about what was going on with the department in charge of magical youth. So I thought, okay, maybe there's something there. The second thing, J.K. Rowling sucks ass. Now, in case you're wondering why I'm bringing up the books about Harry Potter and you're like, what is he talking about? J.K. Rowling is one of the most persistent and diabolically evil transphobes that exist in this world. She has made it her mission to punch down on one of the most marginalized societies, groups of people in the world, not only one of the most marginalized, but the group that has some of the highest suicide rates out of any group in the world. That's who she's punching down on. That is who she's going after. That doesn't make you a hero, that makes you the villain. So I want to put something out into the world and counteract. So what did I do? I spoke to the people involved in testifying in front of our government. I asked them questions. I got to speak to the parents. I got to speak to the trans people themselves. And I asked them a bunch of questions. But the one question, the one through line, I wanted to make sure I asked every single one of them is knowing what was coming, knowing that this would be an ambush, would you still go through it all over again? Every single one of them said yes. Why? Because for that moment in time, regardless of what was being said to them, regardless of how these politicians were acting, they got to speak their truth. They got to be there and speak their truth, and no one could take that away from them. So that's why I wrote the sequel, Somewhere Beyond the Sea. Now, the sequel was not going to come out until this year. But I said, we have an election coming up. I want to put that book out before the election, see if we can change some minds. Sorry. My bad. I should have learned from the whole Capitol insurrection thing that apparently I caused. So that's totally my bad. I want to give you guys a very, very specific example of how you can beat homophobic people. So deep in the pandemic, I had to do a lot of online book clubs, a lot of online meetings because we couldn't go anywhere. One day, I got an invitation from a Southern Baptist church. They were reading The House in the Cerulean Sea for their book club, and they wanted to know if I wanted to come talk to them. And in my head, I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be a shit show. But outwardly, I'm thinking, okay, maybe that's my bias. Maybe I'm being biased against people I, obviously, and for good reasons, hate organized religion in every way, shape, or form. But if your faith brings you hope and joy and comfort, that is wonderful as long as you don't try to push it on me. That's all I care about. So I was thinking, okay, so the Southern Baptist ladies are going to be reading a book with the Antichrist. Let's see how this is going to go. So I log on, and it's row after row after row of elderly white women in their 70s, 80s, and 90s. And every one of them is delightful, except for one. She was in the top right-hand corner. She did not speak a single word the entire hour that I was there. But if the way she glared at me, if looks could kill, that would have been a hate crime. So I did my spiel. I did my thing. I answered the questions, and I got done, and I thought, oh, that wasn't so bad. Nobody was like, everybody just talked about the book. Nobody tried to bring religion into anything. I'll never hear from them again, but at least I've had my own confirmation bias checked. The next day, I wake up to a very angry email. Guess who it's from? Yeah, you're right, the top right-hand corner lady. She was pissed. Why was she pissed? How dare I include the character of the Antichrist in the book? Did I not know who the Antichrist was? Did I not know what the Antichrist was prophesied to do? Did I not know what the Antichrist was capable of? And children were reading this book. And while she did come to care for 6-year-old Lucy, she wished I had gone in a completely different direction. And then she ended the email with the best sign-off out of any email that I've ever received, so much so that I use this sign-off in emails to my friends. After taking me to task with her anger, with her scripture, with all of this for how dare I include the Antichrist, she finished the email by saying, but I did not mind the homosexuals. That's how you win. You make them so mad about something else they forget to hate you because you're gay. Okay, we'll do some questions now.
And then, this was so exciting, as you'll hear from our screams and cheers. Someone in the crowd asked if he planned on writing any other books in the Cerulean Sea series, and this was his answer.
What happens when a real parent comes back? Now, you might be thinking, TJ, all the kids are orphans. Well, Lucy has a real dad, doesn't he? The book is going to be, the main character of the book is going to be about Lucy. This is going to be Lucy's book at 12 years old and explores what it means for him to be human when your real father, who is most decidedly not human, comes back into the picture. So expect that someday!
I was really happy that as I was leaving, I was walking past TJ Klune. He happened to go right in front of me, and I said, "Thank you so much." And he goes, "Thank you." So I was really happy I got to tell him thank you, because him putting these stories out there, him being authentically him, helps other people feel able to do that as well and feel loved and cared for and seen.
If you're not where you can listen. I know you're tired. I am too. I know it sucks. I know things are getting harder, especially for our trans family members, our trans brothers and sisters, and she's, theys, non-binary, gays, whatever. I see you, I hear you, I know it's hard, I know things are going, but here's what I always will believe. There is so much more joy with you in the world than with you without it. So please stay, please fight, and know that if you ever need me to come kick somebody's ass for you, just all you have to do is say so, and I will do it. Probably not, but that's okay. We can pretend. Thank you, everybody, for coming out.
I want to echo everything that TJ Klune said about the queer community. You have always existed, you will always exist, and I will always support and love you, and you make the world a better place by being here, really, truly. I hope that you enjoyed listening to him. I hope it was okay that I shared this. I don't want his wonderful, powerful words to just be stuck in one room. So here it is for the wider internet, and I hope we're all excited for some future books of his. As you saw, the library had beautifully put together a balloon rainbow behind him. It was beautiful. If you want to comment something, I would love to see a bunch of rainbows in the comments. Let's celebrate Pride. Thank you for being here, and until next time, I hope that your life is filled with good people and good books. Take care.